and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, Pakistan has certainly upped the ante against India with its treatment of Kulbhushan Jadhav. An Indian citizen, he took premature retirement from the Navy, and while he was away on business in Iran, he was abducted, taken to Pakistan, and there tried by a military court, which has now awarded him the death sentence. India, of course, has reacted with rightful indignation and also warned Pakistan of dire consequences. Well, what are the dire consequences? What action can India take? And how does India ensure justice for Kulbhushan Jadhav? To discuss that with me, joining me on the roundtable is Manish Tiwari from the Congress, Rajeev Chandrasekhar from the NDA, Dr. Subramanian Swamy from the BJP, and Dinesh Trivedi from the TMC. Manish, I'll begin with you. What can we do to make sure that he gets justice?
Well, ultimately, the only justice is that if he's brought home. And the only manner in which he can be brought home is that you will have to do a deal with Pakistan. And that deal would have to be done between the Prime Minister of India and the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Because if we expect that anything is going to come out of the court process, I'm sorry, it's going to be a completely kangaroo-driven process, what it has been till now. So the legal provision is that you can appeal to the Appellate Military Tribunal. The Appellate Military Tribunal, in all probability, will uphold the judgment. Then you have the possibility that he can make a clemency petition to the president. In the interim, if some human rights lawyers get into the act in Pakistan, they can go to the High Court or the Supreme Court and challenge the process. But the most interesting thing is that till today, Pakistan has not had the gumption of even making the judgment of the General Court Martial public. The moment that judgment becomes public or somebody accesses it under the Freedom of Information Act, which exists in Pakistan also, that itself will actually blow the entire case of the Pakistani government out of water. It is completely and absolutely a fallacious, kangaroo-driven process which they have played itself out. And Kulbhushan Jadhav needs to be brought home. And on this issue, everybody needs to stand together.
Rajeev, I saw one of your tweets, and you were one of the first to say it's a premeditated murder if they carry on, and that's the line that India is taking. Apart from, diplomatic options, what are the other options?
No, look, I just want to add to what Manish said. I think we must understand that this is a deliberate, calculated move by Pakistan to bring India back onto the negotiating table. They are using this, they are going to use this, and we must understand this. This is not some, accidental process within the greater Pakistani judicial system. This is a deliberate, kangaroo court-driven process to target this man and to bring India onto the negotiating table, because they know India will get upset. They know that public outcry in India will be significant, and they want India on the table. And so therefore the government of India has two options. One is to get into a secret negotiation with them where they say, look, send him back and we will send some of yours back. Or we take a different approach, which is a hard approach that says, fine, we will still not negotiate unless you drop terrorism. And we will see what we have to do subsequently. I mean, we don't have to reveal all our cards. But we must not forget that this is a deliberate effort by Pakistan to bring the spotlight back on Indo-Pakistan relationship in the international media and in the domestic media, and to try and get India to the negotiating table when India is seen as walking away.
Dr. Swamy, what is the government mulling over? What are the options?
First of all, I'll start with the assumptions that have been made by these two eminent speakers.
Thank you, sir.
One is, he says that the obvious way to solve it is by a negotiated settlement between the two prime ministers. That presumes that the prime minister has power in Pakistan.
Okay. Correct. I was wondering which prime minister you're going to.
Well, in our prime minister, it goes without saying. The only question is there any power left for anybody else?
That's true. That's a whole new debate anyway.
Yeah. So the present Prime Minister has gone on record, of Pakistan, has gone on record to say that he didn't know that this judgment was being passed. So therefore, the status of the Prime Minister is defined by himself, that he is nobody, he is a dummy. And the question of negotiating with him and judging by the past record of Sharm el-Sheikh with Manmohan Singh, etc., he can't deliver on anything. I don't think he can even deliver a stray dog which has walked into Pakistan from India to be returned back to India.
Wow, okay.
So the negotiated settlement is out of the question. Now, the party you are dealing with is the military, ISI, terrorists or Taliban nexus or cartel, which is running Pakistan effectively today. I don't think that they want us to come to the table. So I don't agree with them. So we have, therefore, in such classic situation, to say to Pakistan that the costs of losing one life of an Indian is going to be very severe for you. And the only thing I can think of is the recognition of an independent country called Balochistan, which would be a cost that they will not have to bear. We would get support from Iran. I have already informally verified that. Mr. Karzai was here. He was also of the view that Afghanistan would probably try to beat the race and be the first one to recognize it. So I think sum total of it, it is now time to deal with Pakistan more on cost benefit rather than the civilized approach of negotiated settlement.
Dinesh bhai, what is your take on all this? The gloves are certainly off now.
Pakistan knows that India is a very strong country and perhaps the diplomacy would work, but I would take this as a blackmailing tactic. I would take it as anybody holds hostage and then you negotiate. You don't negotiate in such situation. If at all, they have to come back because Pakistan has no credibility anywhere in the world. Forget about the world. In Pakistan itself, Pakistan has no credibility. So, and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and we all know, is not a democratic country. Everybody knows who runs Pakistan. Pakistan is little worried that India is really getting very, very strong, and that's the way it is. And I'm glad that there is no political divide in this, in both the houses. We are all together, we are very strong, and I have no doubt about it. This will be settled at our terms.
Our terms? Our terms are going to be Balochistan. Would you agree with that proposal?
I don't think we have a very good track record in terms of bringing our people back. I recall on the 29th of December 2011, when we were celebrating the 40th anniversary of the liberation of Bangladesh, I had raised the issue of the 54 missing Indian POWs in the House. And the then External Affairs Minister, Mr. S.M. Krishna, came back to me later and said that yes, there are 74 Indian prisoners who are ostensibly in Pakistani jails, but Pakistan does not acknowledge their existence, including the 54 POWs. In fact, there was a delegation of relatives which had gone in the June of 2007, from the 1st to the 15th of June 2007, if I recollect, to visit Pakistani jails, but it came to a naught. So therefore, the fact is that, and I'm not making it partisan, our track record as a country in bringing our people back is abysmal. Look what happened to Sarbjeet. You know, the manner in which he was murdered on the 2nd of May 2013, despite such a high decibel campaign for his release. So therefore, let's make a break this time. And let's make Kulbhushan Jadhav's case a test case and at least bring that boy back home. I think that's what is important.
Let's do something different is what both sides are saying, but of course their solutions are different.
No, Priya, I tend to agree in parts with everybody because, and it's very dangerous not to agree with Dr. Swamy. So, but coming back to the serious fact, I think this is an inflection point in the India-Pakistan relationship narrative. For too long, I think they have, in a sense, set the tone, and we have played catch-up. And I think they expect this Kulbhushan Jadhav episode to be one more repeat of the same. And that, I think, is a grave miscalculation of Pakistan. For reasons that Dinesh just said, there is complete unity in India today. And, when I introduced a bill, especially in the Rajya Sabha about declaring Pakistan a terrorist state, there was complete unanimity, even though there were very few parliamentarians in parliament, complete unanimity that India needs to change the discourse, the narrative of its relationship with Pakistan. That we have to look at Pakistan and call them a sponsor of terror, treat them as a sponsor of terror. And so I think this episode is going to backfire on Pakistan. because of the determination that is quite evident in the political class, which is usually the last ones to come to the table on this kind of issue, that Pakistan cannot be let go and allowed to do this, which is a blatant violation of due process, rights of any human rights. So I think this is a turning point in how India will deal with Pakistan. What the reactions of the government are, I don't know. I'm not in the government. That Dr. Swamy is probably closer to the government to tell you. But it is a significant change in the way we will deal with Pakistan going forward.
And your terror state bill, why?
No, I think, look, I don't know why the government did not take that up, why that's for the government to answer. But I think there is general unanimity among civil society, people and the political class that Pakistan has to be now outed for what they really are. That is a sponsor of terrorism. And the sponsor of terrorism is the institution called the Army and the ISI in Pakistan, which is effectively running Pakistan.
So note of caution on the Balochistan issue. What would be the consequences if we go ahead, supposing?
No, there won't be any consequences because what can Pakistan do? What may happen is that if you were to announce, this is my recommendation to the government, I don't know whether they listen or not, but my recommendation is that you announce that this is what you will do. Most of the nations of the world will then prevail upon us not to do it.
Okay.
That is the time to tell them, get this man released, otherwise we are going ahead. The Americans are singularly silent today. The Chinese are probably chuckling. Okay? There's nobody who has taken a stand to condemn what Pakistan has done. See, this man, Iran has given a certificate that he was not a spy.
Yes.
That he was in our country and he was not in a spy. I don't know why this RAW suddenly went crazy and said he had applied for being made a member of RAW, and we rejected it. I don't know whether you saw this. It's in yesterday's papers. Okay. I don't know whose bright idea it is, whether the National Security Advisor was consulted or not, and whether he approved or not, I don't know. But this is something the Prime Minister should take a look. If you want the world powers to do your work, which is only they who can do, for instance, the Americans will say, I'll shut down everything. If you don't leave this guy, they will leave. But to make the Americans do, we have to show that we have options, which will be painful for them. The Americans would not like this. So, and after all, recognizing an emigre government of Balochistan is not sending the army there. It's not a question of invoking a nuclear war or anything like that. It's a step where we have this kind of thing in many parts of the world, where we have emigre governments. We have, technically speaking, an emigre government of Tibet in Dharamshala. Okay, so the issue is, therefore, if you want a calibrated response, I would say this is the announcement you should make. I'm sure that the Americans will then move in. I'm almost sure, knowing them as well as you do, that they will move in and tell Pakistan, leave him.
Okay, the timing of this move, Dr. Swamy, how much is it to do with you mentioned the Dalai Lama's visit. How much is it to do with Donald Trump's offer to intervene?
No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's
so Pakistan is not looking for international attention.
It's just macho mentality of that set called Army, ISI, Taliban.
Look,
No, I think, Priya, this really goes to show the desperation of Pakistan. I'm sure the people of Pakistan may not be approving as to what is happening, because they also know that it's better to have good relation with India, whether it is because of trade, commerce, and that kind of bhaibandi. So I'm sure within Pakistan also, when you talk about Balochistan, we have seen how people of Balochistan don't agree with people of their own in terms of their getting torture and things like that. So this is a bad move, a very, very wrong move and a misguided move. And this adventure of Pakistan, misguided, is going to cost them in terms of our reaction. And I'm sure, like I said, we have great diplomats, we have great NSA, and we have a strong Prime Minister too. So I'm sure this is a trying time, and whatever patriotism we have across the country, it's going to work well. But it's not as easy as I'm trying to make it out. We have to work towards that. And fortunately, the entire media is also, all are together.
Yeah. We need to take a break. We're going to come back, and also I'm going to go a bit into the conspiracy theory. Why would Pakistan do this now? What is it trying to achieve by this act? So stay with us. Hello and welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Manish, before the break, we were discussing the timing of this. You know, is it anything to do with the Dalai Lama's visit? Is China also behind this, or is it Pakistan doing this to get American attention?
Look, the elephant in the room is apparently some lieutenant colonel who's gone missing in Nepal.
Correct.
So therefore, the speculation is that apparently this was fast-tracked because they had certain apprehensions about certain lieutenant colonel, I think possibly misplaced, who's suddenly gone missing. So you see, the fact is that you are dealing with an extremely convoluted state called Pakistan. I mean, if they could play the United States of America for a song on Osama bin Laden for all these years, hide him in Abbottabad, and take their aid and continue with the business of not only sheltering the Taliban Shura and the Haqqani network, but every other non-state instrumentality. So you are dealing with a very insidious instrument called the deep state in Pakistan. Insofar as the Balochistan option is concerned, conceptually, Dr. Swamy is correct, but the difficulty is that even the Balochis are not on the same page. The Balochistan movement is divided into myriad number of groups. As I understand, there is apparently a government in exile already existing in Switzerland. And if you talk to some of the Baloch activists, they apparently feel that after the great announcement which the Prime Minister made from the Red Fort, India has really let them down. So therefore, if we are going to energize the Balochistan option, then we need to be consistent with it. You cannot blow hot and blow cold, depending upon as to where our relationship with Pakistan is situated at a particular point in time. But I do agree with you that there is a need for a calibrated approach. Unfortunately, our Pakistan policy over the past 34 months has been a story of U-turns, flip-flops, and somersaults.
And so therefore, the partisan
and therefore, we've ended up sending a signal to the deep state in Pakistan that you are apparently dealing with a bunch of amateurs in Delhi. And that's why, they're emboldened to run these circles around you.
No, I don't think there has been any convoluted somersaults. I think, if anything, there has been a clear recognition that India has more options than lighting candles and whining in the international forum, which is what we saw for the best part of the last 10 years before this government came. That is my bit of partisanship. But I think this is the time that India should now roll out its options between the digital the army military option versus doing nothing option. I think I have argued this for several months that we have a series of other options available that are covert, like the Balochi option. Then there are trade, economic options available, and we have to start rolling them out and putting the squeeze on Pakistan. Everybody around this table has acknowledged that Pakistan is a failed state, is a rogue state, is a sponsor of terror, and it is a widely held recognition of Pakistan, but nobody has done anything about it. And I think that is what we now need to start doing. Kulbhushan Jadhav should be the trigger that India now starts unveiling its so-called non-nuclear options, because every time we talk about Pakistan, it's either nuclear options or candles. I think there is a whole bunch of things that we can do, and I think this is what this government is going to do. It is going to be slow, but I think Pakistan will have to hear the message from India that business as usual is not acceptable to India, and we have our own way of responding to Pakistan and holding them to account.
And why the timing? Do you think there is
No, I think the timing, I agree with you that there is a linkage to the Dalai Lama visit. China is rattled. Pakistan is a vassal state of China, and all it takes is a little phone call from China to say, do something to India, and Pakistan will jump and say, how high do you want us to jump? So there is some credibility around that theory. Obviously, nobody has proof that there's that call that was made, but the fact that this is done to divert attention from the response that Dalai Lama, His Holiness, is getting in Arunachal Pradesh and how China is getting rattled is a credible theory. Not necessarily the only theory, but that is one credible theory about why Pakistan is doing what it's doing now.
Dr. Swamy, you know China very well. Do you think there could have been some sort of a signal?
No. Chinese will never do this.
So they are not instigating Pakistan.
This is
on
not their style. This is all our wild imagination. This is pure rogue elements who have taken over Pakistan. And they think that they're getting cheers all over Pakistan for what they have done. And the more we go on agonizing, the more pleasure they are going to get. Huh?
What is the
No,
trigger?
it's just, it was looking after the surgical strike, and there was nothing happening, you see. And they have, the Pakistanis, particularly the Punjabi Pakistanis, have utter contempt for the Kashmiris. They're using them as fodder. They are not getting anywhere. And India is, whatever our amateurish approach may be.
Here comes a reply.
I think we should probably take Shashi Tharoor as consultant for maturity. I'm sure he's done very well for you.
He's trying to do his bit for you.
I don't know about that. Yes, he wants to join our party, but he ain't going to get in, I can tell you that.
Okay.
The issue is this, that you have first, one part I agree with him. Let's make an assessment. What is it the Pakistanis want? In my opinion, they don't want a damn thing. They just want macho. This is my assessment based not on my own guesswork, but talking to people all over the world who deal with Pakistan. And I've come to the conclusion that this is something they like to see us writhe in pain and then lump it in the end. Supposing tomorrow they execute him, what are you going to do? At the moment, their Pakistani assessment of us is that we'll do nothing. So therefore, we have to show.
Even after our surgical strike, I mean, now they know that we will not do nothing.
The reality is not an issue with Pakistanis. They live in a dream world. They're telling the Kashmiris that, you see, they said no Pakistan, no Pakistan, no Pakistan, yet they gave us Pakistan. They'll give you Kashmir also, just keep at it.
That is what they're thinking.
That's what they are brainwashing the Kashmiris with. So therefore, we have reached, as he said very correctly, an inflection point. Either we go sliding back or we go sliding up, shooting up. And this is the time to show there is a new Pakistan policy. No dinners, no lunches, no wedding
no birthday
visits,
surprises.
no surprise stopovers. This is now a end game. Either you fall in line as a small country in our neighborhood, or you face further decimation.
This is really the inflection point.
I think India, subsequent governments, right from Rajiv Gandhi to Narendra Modi, we have reached out. Atalji went, the bus service. Prime Minister Modi really took a detour.
But then we got Pathankot and we got Kargil.
But
So
what I'm trying to say that we have shown all the gestures of friendship.
Right.
As a strong country, we said we need a strong neighborhood also. So we are still wanting that. But like Dr. Swamy said, if army is out to have this adventure, and if they want to prove that we are the ones who are ruling and not everybody knows. So as far as the timing is concerned, I don't think it's a lost nation.
May I add something to what he said?
Please.
4 times we've been to war. Please study the history of that. Each time it was a miscalculation by the army. Start with the last one, Kargil, the most stupid thing they could have done. Nobody in the world supported them. Even the Chinese told them, you have let us down.
right.
Bangladesh, unnecessary provocation. Mrs. Gandhi was looking for a provocation. They went and bombed the 6 cities of India, and Mrs. Gandhi immediately executed what she had been preparing for 6-7 months. Take this same thing, this 65, take 47. All have been disasters. What we need is, therefore, this time, to show them what it really means to hurt India.
Last word.
You see, Priya, it's all very good to be triumphant about the fact that we are a strong nation. But, that should not mean that we become delusional. There needs to be a reality check. And the fact is that Pakistan today feels that it's in a very sweet spot, with the China-Pakistan economic corridor going through. They feel that their relationship with the Chinese has become institutionalized. for the first time in the history of Pakistan, you have a situation where the Russians are actually exercising with the Pakistani army. You have a situation whereby if General Nicholson's surge goes through in Afghanistan, America and Pakistan will be back to business as usual. So therefore, there has been a change in the global environment which emboldens Pakistan. So it's very good to be triumphant at home and say that, you know, everything is hunky-dory. Let's also factor in the fact that as to why is Pakistan behaving in this manner, and then put in place a policy which has broad partisan support, because you need a long-term strategy. You need a 10-year strategy in order to deal with Pakistan. You know, this kind of flip-flops and somersaults, I'm afraid, are not going to work.
No,
Okay.
I have to.
Okay,
This
quickly.
is really directed at me.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not.
You as the face of the government.
I am all for sophistication. I'm all for not being delusional. But appeasement is the thing that has been what characterized us in the past. That we can't afford anymore. That is what they did it as a celebrated policy. Appease,
We followed
appease,
Mr. Atal
appease.
Bihari Vajpayee.
Huh?
We followed Mr. Atal Bihari
Well,
Vajpayee,
no,
who
but-
followed Mr.
Followed-
Gujral, who followed Mr. Devgowda, who followed Mr. Narasimha Rao,
Vajpayee came-
and I can go further back.
Do go further back.
Vajpayee came almost 60 years after these people had been there. You went to the UN, you handed over Kashmir, you have been agitating on...
And liberated Bangladesh also.
Well,
Okay, so now they want to liberate Balochistan.
I don't think so. We should digress
that's right.
from the subject.
So the
and we have to
issue-
make sure that we are all together, which we are.
Okay, on that note, I think it's a good note to end on. And as Rajeev says, we've reached an inflection point. So the way ahead, as Manish says, it should be something, maybe a 10-year policy, not a knee-jerk reaction. Dr. Swamy is, of course, calling for a very strong action. Let's learn from the past, he says. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.